XXXXX. The door to Minato's office suddenly opened to reveal an older man who looked like he had seen better days, with him missing an eye in his crippled state. What do you want, Danzo? I am not in the mood, Minato stated pathetically. Danzo looked at the darkened office in disgust. Minato had trashed the place in his angered state and then pathetic depression. Such a simple fool. At least he trained his men to show no emotion. Soon, all of Konoha will be like that, or at least half the population anyway, due to the others being dead for not being able to handle his ways. Weeding out the bad roots, as it were. Simple, he said as he reached his hand into the bandages around him and pulled. You are not fit to be Hokage, so I am taking it by force. What? Minato started to say before he saw the sight of a Sharingan. XXX. Naruto had gotten out of the hospital a bit early since his injuries were healing faster than normal. It would seem that with his anger and the spawn gone from his body, his Uzumaki blood finally kicked in. Another thing the Rin ruined for him. So engrossed in his thoughts of Rin, Naruto barely heard a disturbance in the alley he was passing by. Curious about it and eager to get away from his dark thoughts, the blonde made his way into the alley, expecting a cat or a dog having it out, but to his surprise and worry, there was a raven-haired girl that looked in bad shape. The girl looked bruised, like she had been beaten, and it also looked like she fought back since there was dried blood on her hands and spots of it on her arms. Hey, are you okay? Naruto asked, and then wanted to kick himself because just by looks alone she was obviously not okay. However, she never answered him as she laid on the ground, staring blankly at him. The blonde didn't know what to really do with that kind of response, to be honest, and it was kind of irritating. However, he felt the need to help her and clean her up. Maybe if he showed her some kindness, she would open up. Bending down to pick her up, he said, "Look, please don't kill me, I am just going to help you out of this hole." As he picked her up, she never fought back. Hell, she never even bothered to move, just staring at him blankly. With no help from her, he was sure he couldn't make it back to his home like this, so that left one option left that didn't make him look creepy. The ghost step. So using his teleportation technique, Naruto teleported himself and the girl to his house where she would be safe for the time being. As he appeared in the living room, he thought this would be good for him as it would keep his mind off his problems. Of course this only brought more problems, like how he was going to help the girl, but whatever. The first thing that needed to be done was to clean the blood off. So quickly getting a rag and wetting it, he took her arms and started to wash the blood off. That finally produced a reaction when she jerked back a bit, but Naruto held on tight. When she stopped jerking around, Naruto was able to clean the blood off both arms and then started with her hands. That was when he noticed something fall. Tears. Tears were falling from the girl's face, but she still produced no visible emotion other than the tears. It made no sense to him. When he finished cleaning her bloody hands, he sighed. Okay, those clothes need to go as they are basically rags, Naruto said to himself out loud. He went to his room and took out some clothes from his closet before returning to his living room to see that the girl was still there. She hadn't even moved. Okay, I have some girl clothes for you and please don't ask why I have them, Naruto hurriedly said. Why? The girl asked quietly, making Naruto grimace. He didn't even take notice that she was finally acting like a real person. Well, my sister liked to come over sometimes and she thought it would be convenient to have them over here. No, the girl replied softly yet again. Like talking out loud was punishable for some reason. Why are you helping me? Why did you clean off Mama's blood? I am useless. Why help you? Naruto asked back with a confused look as he wiped the tears off her face with the clean side of the rag. Why not is the answer. I saw some girl lying in an alley who looked pretty beat up and needed help. So I did. Naruto frowned when thinking about the last two statements. What do you mean your mother's blood, and who told you that you were useless? Mother died. Her blood is on my hands. The girl replied emotionlessly like she was giving a report. Father said I was useless, so he had his men leave me in that alley to die. What the hell? Who is you father? Naruto asked angrily, which made the girl flinch a tiny bit, but he saw it, so he calmed down a bit. Danzo Shimura is my father, the girl replied. Danzo? Naruto asked himself. Remember the mysterious man who helped him with his Sharingan eyes in his hands. The man was a mystery to him, but he did hear that he was part of the council. Could we start from the top? I feel that I am missing something important. The girl nodded and began to speak again in her emotionless voice with still no emotion even on her face. For his root training program, Father needs people broken to become loyal soldiers to his cause. He breaks them and then rebuilds them to obey him and only him. To break them, he has them kill their best friend, so for me that was my mother, Karen. At this the girl actually showed emotion as a hurt look crossed her features and more tears streamed down her face. When it seemed to him that I could be remade his way, he told me I was useless, more so than my sister, and had his men take me away. They took me to that ally and broke my arms and legs so that I would die quickly. At this point, Naruto was red with anger and really wanted to kill this Danzo guy. So what if he helped procure those eyes? This man needed to die. That brought another thought to his mind. It seemed that both of their fathers were unfit for the job. Something way back in the back of his mind thought this was a good thing on some level, but on the surface, Naruto was just pissed beyond belief. Fine then. You are staying here until you heal and we deal with this situation. Naruto paused for a moment and blushed. What is your name? I kind of forgot to ask. The name my father gave me was Karasu Nohara, and about you offer. It won't take long for me to heal because my mother told my father about certain traits of our bloodline. For the one I am speaking of, I am able to absorb a power that my mother possessed. I took what my mother had in the form of the Uzumaki bloodline, which she was able to amplify in the healing area. That's convenient, Naruto replied slowly, thinking that it was almost too convenient, like someone was manipulating certain events and object to make everything go as planned. Wait, Nohara. Wasn't Rin's last name Nohara? He asked cautiously. Indeed, she is my sister, but I never saw her, only that father had her as next in line to lead route until she disappeared. I was to do the same, but I failed. Okay, that clears that up. But it brings to light that Danzo is responsible for making Rin possible. Naruto said out loud. But, what is this bloodline you talked about? You said you inherited the Uzumaki healing from her, but how did she even get it? The bloodline I possess is called the Mimic. It gives the user one bloodline that user comes in direct contact with, through touch. It has two other abilities, one that allows the user to inherit a power from a family member. And the other? Naruto asked curiously. Although he thought that the bloodline was a little cheap, he couldn't care less about that. It was useful to have, but since he didn't have it, he really could care less. To completely copy one jutsu, whether it be normal or bloodline, and use it without any adverse side effects if there are any. She reported. Sounds fun, but I can't use it, so good for you. Naruto said with a bored thumbs up. So the next order of business, should we wait for you to heal before getting into these new clothes or no? You do not care if I have a bloodline or not? Karasu asked curiously. Not really, no, Naruto replied before widening his eye. Wait, I asked for your name and never gave you mine, how stupidly rude of me. I am Naruto Ranmyaku. Karasu's eyes widened, a slight show of emotion that made Naruto smile tiny bit. So you were the boy Danzo had his eye on. She then looked down at herself to see nothing but rags. About my clothes, it would not matter either way since I will be healed in a few hours, but these rags are uncomfortable and not suitable for use. Please remove them now and change them for me. Naruto blinked before blushing crimson red. Honestly, he should have kept his big mouth shut about her clothes. Now because of her healing broken limbs, he had to be the one to change her clothes. Okay, but you can change your own underwear when you have mobility back again. He stated without question, making the girl nod in compliance. Taking a deep breath, Naruto helped position the girl so that she was lying comfortably as can be on the floor. Okay, please bear with me and tell me if I hurt you. As Naruto took off her ripped up pants and shirt, he tried not to blush because despite all the hate he usually had in his body and the chaos going around him, he was still a hot-blood teenager, so this would be a bit difficult. But the only things really helping him were that she was broken and emotionless. That helped him think of other things as he delicately replaced her damaged clothes with new ones. Danzo was the topic raging in his mind. He still didn't really have a face to the man who helped him acquire Sharingan eyes, but that made it worse. How did the man even get the eyes in the first place? It couldn't have been on the up and up due to what he recently learned of the man. He was the leader of Root and he had questionable means of recruitment into his ranks. So that lead to questionable means on how he got the eyes. Now, would he be seeing He-Man in the near future or not? The man was old yet, but he had heard that the man was power-hungry and a war hawk as well. How was he going to deal with his own problems and this Danzo character if the man chose to go after him? After all, Karasu said that the man was keeping an eye on him. That led to another thought. Could he even trust Kararu? She was related to both Danzo and Rin. Rin wanted him dead and he really didn't know what Danzo wanted with him. So what did Karasu want? Should he keep helping the girl and see where it went, or should he drop her off somewhere once she healed to keep her at arm's length? What was that saying again? Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. That could work, but was Karasu an enemy? After all she went through with her father and mother, would she join Naruto or crawl back to her father? This was just too much to think on. Oh, wow, he was already done changing her clothes. That was quick. Okay, let me get you to the sofa, so that you can rest better. The floor won't work. Why not the bed? I thought that was a better place. Karasu suggested without thought. I am not sure how people will react when they see you in my bed. I do not understand. The girl replied with a cute tilt of the head but still with her emotionless look. Of course not. Naruto replied exasperatedly as he laid the girl in the bed. Naruto, you in? A voice suddenly rang out through his house, making Naruto freeze in place. That voice could only belong to one person and said person walked into his room, only to freeze as well. Naruto, what are you doing? The voice shouted out before punching him in the gut, making him back away from the bed. Naruto growled out as he got back up. Kaoru, please calm down. Calm down. The now identified girl roared as she turned on the light. I see you in a dark room with some girl on your bed, how am I supposed to react? Oh, so this is what you meant when people might react oddly. Karasu stated emotionlessly, not really sure how to take the scene in front of her. What? Kaoru asked awkwardly before she noticed that her clothes were on the girl. Why is she wearing my clothes? Because when I found her, she was wearing nothing but rags that looked like they were about to fall off. Naruto replied. I found her in an alley where her father dumped her and called her useless. Naruto stated, not wanting to tell her the whole story just yet. How horrible. Kaoru cried out, getting a vibe that her situation was like Naruto's. I also wouldn't hug her just yet, he had her arms and legs broken, but her blood lets her heal fast, so she should be up soon. Naruto said, stopping her from doing so, which led to an awkward silence. Now, what do you need? Oh, that's right, Kaoru said with a shocked look. She had completely forgotten why he had barged into his house. The Hokage needs to see our team. Menma said he would wait outside the tower for us while I got you. Fine, Naruto groaned. He did not want to deal with them today. Turning to Karasu, he said, stay put. As they left the room, Kaoru looked at Karasu with a calculating gaze, for she ran after Naruto. Hey, since you were the one to change her clothes, did you like what you saw? She asked curiously with a bit of a jealous pout. This in turn made Naruto nearly fall out the front door. I would rather not talk about it, he said with a blush. With Kaoru laughed. Back in Naruto's room, Karasu heard the door close and then said, where am I going to go when I don't have the use of my limbs? She asked no one. Maybe when she recovered, she would go buy some books on human behavior because she obviously had a bad understanding of how normal humans interacted. Living with Danzo all those years weren't very helpful. XXX. Menma was leaning up against the Hokage tower impatiently waiting for his siblings and teammates to hurry the hell up so they could meet with the Hokage. He honestly didn't know what their father wanted from them, but he had been rather quiet as of late. Menma paused at that. Was he still so willing to kiss up to his father so that it translated to his personality and current anger? Yeah, he was. That thought irritated him because he was trying to change, he really was, but it was rather hard. He still viewed people as weak and useless, but the question was, could he change? Then there was the issue of his father. Ever since the Chunin exams, their father had been withdrawn and people said that he had destroyed his office. People had said that their father had become a shadow of his former self, and they said that he should step down as Hokage because if he couldn't fight a former student turned into a deadly virus and stop her from destroying their family, then he was not Hokage material, army killer or not. That angered him. It angered him that his father was being slandered like that. It angered him that his family had been so easily manipulated like that. And it made him so angry that Kyuubi was now silent. How was he to rant at the beast when it would not talk to him after what it made him do? No, he made himself almost kill his brother. The beast just egged him on to do it. Like an evil cheerleader. God, he was messed up. Looking up again at the road, he was relieved to see that Kaoru and Naruto were here. Finally. About time you got here. I was thinking you might have died. Menma replied rudely. He now knew that Naruto hadn't lived with them for a time, but Kaoru wouldn't take him with her when he asked to go as well. Something about trust issues and he wouldn't be welcome there. Whatever. Sorry, oh master of the universe, but there were complications. Kaoru growled out. Oh, Menma asked with a little pervert smirk, knowing of her little crush. Of course he thought it was weird, but in the end, it wasn't him, so he didn't much care. Not like that, but there was a girl at Naruto's place that was taking care of due to her being injured. Oh, intot he weak and helpless, eh? Menma smirked. Naruto took the smirk as, I am better than you, so I know what you like. So he had his one input. Well, her father thinks she is useless and I am nothing, so it is a perfect match. That comment made Menma flinch. Yeah, there was that too. Because of Jiraiya and then himself, Naruto thought himself as nothing. Damn, let's just go see what the Hokage wants. XXX. Opening the door to the Hokage's office, they noticed it was dimly lit and the Hokage was not the one behind that desk. Was if their father had suddenly aged quite a bit, became crippled, and lost an eye, then yeah, it could be him, but it was not and they knew it. However, Minato was standing close by, so then tension was lessened, but only by a bit. Because the main question was, why was this man in the Hokage's seat? Menma wasted no time in getting to the point though. You wanted to see us, Hokage-sama. Indeed I have. The old man replied, but Menma cut him off rudely. I was talking to my dad, thanks. No boy. You address the Hokage, that is me now, and you show proper respect. What? Minato has acknowledged that he is unfit to leader this village, so he appointed me as the next Hokage. The man stated, I, Danzo Shimura, am your next leader. There were varied reactions to this. Menma looked nervous, Kaoru was skeptical, and Naruto was glaring at the man. So this was Danzo, but something didn't add up. Is this true, Minato? Naruto asked the man standing next to Danzo. Yes it is, Minato said in an almost drone-like tone, but because of the poor lighting, they could not see much of his face, including his dulled eyes. The tone of his voice sent off warning bells in Naruto's mind that made him narrow his eyes. Then he saw the man's fingers twitch. Something isn't right. Is that all you wished to tell us? Naruto asked once his attention was back on Danzo, who seemed to be giving him a calculating look. No, Danzo replied. I ordered you to come here because of the recent Chunin exams. You three are the few that have gained the rank of Chunin. Congratulations. He then procured 3 flak jackets and gave them to the 3. Even me? Menma asked, figuring that because of what happened, he wouldn't get promoted. Yes, Danzo replied before continued. I, however, wouldn't have done it. This was Minato's and many other high-rank officials' choices. I do, however, agree on your ideals of strength, but I find you to be weak. What? Menma roared, as weakness for him was a breaking point for him. I showed a vast amount of strength in that arena. Indeed, but you are emotionally weak. A very bad weakness for a ninja. If it had been up to me, you wouldn't have even been a ninja, as I saw your weakness a mile away. How dare you? Menma growled. I only speak the truth. Danzo replied before gesturing to Naruto. Your brother on the other hand has shown potential all throughout his life. I have kept an eye on him and even helped him a few times. While you were coddled by your parents, he grew up with that and has turned into a fine ninja. And maybe with some tweaking, a potential leader for Root. I did hear recently that you have been keeping an eye on me. Naruto replied nonchalantly, getting the attention of the man back on his and hoping to defuse Menma's ticking timer. He did not believe that this man got the position of Hokage the right way. He smelled deception due to what happened with the man's daughter and the potential genjutsu over Minato like he suspected. But this man had been helping him, so what to do? It was creepy, let him burn. Danzo regarded Naruto carefully when he said that. Who told you I was helping you? I made sure to keep my involvement in your life a secret. I didn't want people thinking I was giving you blatant favoritism. I recently met a girl. Naruto replied as he leaned against the desk. Keeping up an act like you're on Danzo's side was easy. She was broken and bloody, so I took her home. She was emotional like a rock until I helped her and she opened up to her. She told me about a man keeping an eye on me, what he ran illegal organizations. Danzo made a fist and in the dark, Naruto could see them whitening from his anger. Bingo. And who would be this girl be to make you think that I am the same person? Naruto smiled darkly, not only because he had the man right where he wanted him, but because it seemed that his conversation had allowed Minato to break free of his genjutsu. Oh, this will be fun. She said her name was Karasu Noharu and that you were her father. Danzo smirked, and what makes you think that I will admit to having a daughter? I could have you killed for thinking you can play me boy. You are much too young for that. Would you kill someone you have your eye on? Naruto asked darkly. You could kill me, but then you would never find the girl. And even if you wanted her dead, your men wouldn't get to her. And what makes you think that? Danzo asked quipped. He also noticed that Menma and Kaoru were very uncomfortable with this conversation. He could use them. If you die, what makes you think I will let them live to save her? Naruto smiled darkly, because I am not even here. Shadow clone, so that was it. Well played boy, but you still lost. With a subtle hand motion, he ordered his men to strike. I want you know this boy, you are more like me than you know, but you lost this round, prepare to be a true orphan. The next thing the clone of Naruto knew, he was impaled by 2 swords through the back, making him go poof. When the root agents went for Menma and Kaoru, they didn't even have a chance to defend themselves before a yellow flash enveloped the room, and then next thing Danzo knew, his men were on the floor in a pool of blood and the Hokage's children were by the door. How did you break the Koto Amatsukami? Danzo asked in shock before he was thrown onto the floor by his men. Easily. After Rin's control was broken over me, breaking out of a genjutsu, even a Sharingan-enhanced genjutsu is child's play. Minato replied seriously. Now I have question I want answered before I kill you. And that would be, was Rin your daughter as well and did you have her keep tabs on me? Minato asked harshly as this information further drove the nail in for him. Hey, should have killed the little bitch myself. Danzo muttered out loud before turning his gaze to Minato. Yes, but if I am going to die, why don't you let your eldest behind the door do it? What? Minato asked with wide eyes when the door actually opened to reveal Naruto, making the others wonder how he made a shadow clone without them noticing and be actually behind the door the whole time. So Danzo, you want to kill you? Naruto asked nonchalantly. Indeed boy, which was why you were behind the door instead of you home protecting the girl, right? Danzo asked. Actually no, I stayed behind the door to reveal that I am the one who actually won old man. You lost, Naruto replied arrogantly. This statement angered Danzo. Indeed, he thought he won when he outwitted the boy's clone and went for the kill of the rest of his family. But no, Minato just had to break the genjutsu and make him lose. But Naruto confirmation was what broke the camel's back for him. Arg, he roared as he tried to get back up and stab the boy with the hidden kunai in his sleeve. Then there was the sickening sound of metal cutting flesh. But Naruto wasn't the one to receive that. No, it was Danzo as Minato once again used his powers of the flying thunder god to slice the man's throat. Danzo gurgled as he choked on his own blood. Hey, you are more like me than you think. He managed to get out, but this not over, you haven't won yet. With that said, Danzo allowed the blood to choke him to death with a smile on his lips. Before Minato could take the body away, it began to glow with angry red seals. Minato saw this as a bad sign before he grabbed the 3 newly minted chunins and disappeared in a yellow flash. The next moment, the Hokage's office exploded. XXX. The whole village almost had a heart attack when they saw the top of the Hokage's tower explode, but their fears were laid to rest when they saw a yellow flash and the man appeared in the middle of the street with his children. Naruto broke away from the man's grip with a glare and said, "That was unnecessary, Hokage-sama, for I too am just a clone. I don't need your help," Naruto said while poofing away. Minato looked visibly hurt by this, but he had a situation to handle as he saw all of his ninja heading his way. "Go home you two, I have a long night ahead of me," Minato ordered of Keiru and Menma, who nodded and walked away, looking distracted. Keiru because of what she just witnessed. Menma, for an entirely different reason. When they were about a block away, Menma finally spoke. "I am not weak," he growled out. "How could that old man say I was weak?" This annoyed Keiru and she was already at her breaking point today with his bullshit. "Would you shut the hell up? God," Keiru shouted at Menma, shock him a bit when he knew she usually blow up at him. Told him to stop, but never actually blew up on him. "Wah, no, shut up and let me speak because I need to get this off my chest and you need to hear this," Keiru shouted at her younger brother. "Menma, you're a monster. You're not a monster because of how we all treated Naruto, you're a monster because when you became convinced that the weak needed to be destroyed, you thought only of yourself. If the weak need to be destroyed, then why didn't it occur to you to try to strengthen the weak in order to keep them from being destroyed? You have no love or compassion in your heart at all. The reason you chose to become a monster, Menma, is because you're weak. You're mentally weak, you're emotionally weak, you're morally weak, you're weak in your character. You're weak in every single way that truly matters. You may be strong for a genin turned chunin, but you're weak as a person. So if you still believe the weak need to be destroyed, then you should walk up to the front of the line to be put up on the chopping block." With that, she walked away, most likely to go see Naruto. Menma just stayed there in the middle of the street, staring at the ground in shock. "Is that really true? XXX. Naruto, sitting on his front steps, opened his eyes when he heard the explosion of the Hokage tower and thought that things might not have gone the way he thought they should have. A moment later, a smirk tugged at his lips, but then it turned into a frown. "I am nothing like you," he said quietly as he walked back inside his home. XXX. Deep under Konoha, the agents of Root were acting like nothing was wrong. Like their boss had not been killed. How could they when not one of them had any emotion whatsoever? They had their instructions. They were all currently in a large room surrounding two objects. One of them was a low-level Root agent and the other, was Danzo's body. When the seals appeared on the man, Minato quickly left and did not see what truly happened. In truth, his body was never destroyed. The seals reverse summoned him back to Root and replaced him with a large amount of exploding tags. "Dajimu, are you ready?" a man asked. The masked Root Anbu nodded his head. "Yes, I am Fu. You and Torun may start the jutsu." "Very well," Fu Yamanaka replied emotionlessly. He then turned to the others. "Let us begin." They all began a set of long hand seals before Torun called out the technique. Kuchios. Edo Tensai. XXXXXX. XXX. Deep under Konoha, the agents of Root were acting like nothing was wrong. Like their boss had not been killed. How could they when not one of them had any emotion whatsoever? They had their instructions. They were all currently in a large room surrounding two objects. One of them was a low-level Root agent and the other was Danzo's body. When the seals appeared on the man, Minato quickly left and did not see what truly happened. In truth, his body was never destroyed. The seals reverse summoned him back to Root and replaced him with a large amount of exploding tags. "Dajimu, are you ready?" a man asked. The masked Root Anbu nodded his head. "Yes, I am Fu. You and Torun may start the jutsu." "Very well," Fu Yamanaka replied emotionlessly. He then turned to the others. "Let us begin." They all began a set of long hand seals before Torun called out the technique. Kuchios. Edo Tensai. A figure stepped out of a wooden coffin in place of Dajimu. Its figure was bathed in shadow, but they all knew who it was. Their leader, their true leader. A man who will bring the glory of Root and then bring Konoha to the glory it was meant to be. "Did you do as I asked?" the shadow asked, its voice male but not the elderly tone of Danzo. Yes, Leader Sama, Torun replied. Your old body had been mangled like you said it would, but the restorative seal we placed on it did its job enough that we could make the necessary changes you wanted. Your new body is better than it had been and we restored you to prime fighting condition to take the seat of Hokage. Good, I will need all the power I can get if I am to survive a fight with Minato. The leader replied. Now, are we ready for the plan to set into motion? Yes, all the low-ranking ninja of Root are keeping the jutsu up so you can fight at your best. We are ready to go whenever you want to. Good, good, it just goes to show that Sarutobi made his ninja weak compared to Root. Now, let's show the world the shinobi of darkness is not really dead. The man said before they disappeared from the room. XXX. Menma sighed as he walked along the street. At first it shocked the hell out of him that Kaoru finally screamed at him what she thought about him, but then that shock turned into anger. Anger at the fact that the little weak bitch would stand up to him. He nearly blew up the street around him in anger until something clicked. With fear and anger at himself, he knew she was right. He was a monster. That and Kyuubi stopped talking to him, it was strange. But the question was, what could he do about his problem? Stopping because he hit his head on a pole, he looked up to see the hospital. Could Tsunade help me? Would she even bother after what I have done? He thought sadly before heading in. After all, it never hurt to ask, right? XXX. I am sorry, you want me to what? Tsunade growled the boy in front of her. Maybe as a child he had been tolerable, but now she just wanted to kill him for what he did to Naruto. Now he was asked her for a favor. The fucking nerve. I asked if you could help me with my attitude problem. It was pointed out to me recently that I am a monster because of my ideals. I need help. Make me take classes or something. Tsunade glared at the boy in front of her while her apprentices looked on nervously. They were not fond of the boy, especially after what he did, but he was asking for help and that was good, right? Finally, Tsunade spoke. Ask me again at the end of the day. Right now I would like to kill you instead of just wasting resources, Booty will think on it. Now get the fuck out of my office. Very well, Menma stated and left. XXX. Hinata and her team were training to get stronger like usual. Since none of them even passed, they felt that more training was necessary. Actually, it really didn't hurt to train see as how the strongest in the last exam were Menma and surprisingly Naruto. Of course Hinata believed Naruto had been strong from the start, so it was actually no surprise to Hinata. What was a surprise was seeing one of the people from the invasion coming towards her. She didn't think that the old man would see anything in her. You are Hinata Hyuga, correct? The man asked. She nodded. The man then bowed to her. I am Ao and I have been tasked to help you in your dream of uniting your family by your father. Really? Hinata asked, rather shocked. She thought her father didn't really care. How? Simple. I am going to be teaching you seals and making you stronger. You see, under this eye patch is a Byakugan eye that I have protected by these seals. He then paused as he looked at the rest of her team and then smiled. However, with your sensei's permission, I would like to help her make the ultimate tracking team due to me being a former Kiri Hunter Nin. Oh, you are that Ao that my father talked about. Kurenai replied before smiling. I would love the help. Oh, this is going to great. Kiba exclaimed while Hinata nodded. Shino. He just stood there, no real expression on his face, but he did think it would be a good learning experience. XXX. Minato sighed as he helped the construction workers fix the Hokage Tower, mostly where his office had been thanks to Danzo blowing it to hell. Normally people thought he would just stand by and watch or just be at home until it was done. No, he couldn't go back to that empty place. Kushina was still in the hospital. Menma was never home anymore as he did his own thing, and neither was Kaoru as she was always with her friends or with Naruto helping him with Danzo's discarded daughter. Well, his second one. Rin was his first and Karasu was his second. Danzo was obviously a bad father, but he was no better. He had screwed up with his family and he doubted he could fix anything. He was a failure. Looking down at the village, he wondered if he was still capable to defending the village when he couldn't even protect his family. His thoughts were interrupted when he caught sight of Naruto with that Karasu girl. It seemed they had just eaten at Ichiraku's ramen and were heading somewhere else. Minato smiled at that, but that made him think that Naruto never needed him in the first place. He didn't know the first thing about the boy or even how to apologize. He let a single tear escape his eyes before he ripped his attention away from the boy and back to the reconstruction of the Hokage's office. XXX. So, what do you think? Naruto asked Karasu nonchalantly about how she liked the ramen. It was an adequate amount of food. Karasu said neutrally, making Naruto trip a bit. Despite his broody attitude in his early years, there was one thing that made him happy, and that was ramen. That's it. It didn't taste great or anything. Naruto asked her. Karasu cocked her head to the side and asked, "Food is supposed to taste good. I thought it was just a form of nourishment." Naruto's eye twitched in irritation at that, but also found the action to be kind of cute. Boy, having that parasite gone was making him act different, that was for sure, as he was actually unsure of how he would have reacted. Yeah, about that, it is a form of nourishment, but most people would prefer it to taste good to them. Also, there are some people, like me for example, that have a favorite food because of that taste. Maybe we should find yours. Karasu quirked an eyebrow and then blinked. I keep forgetting that I am not dealing with people from Root anymore. She paused as she looked ahead and then said, I don't think ramen is very good to me. Too salty. She looked back at the blonde to see a gloom cloud over his head. No fair. Naruto mumbled. Before she could comment, her eyes caught a sight that made her freeze with an emotion on her face. Fear. What is it? Naruto asked. I am not mad that you don't like ramen. However, he looked to where she was looking, only to three men. Two with masks and another with a familiar X-shaped scar on his chin. Father, she whispered. Her father actually brought out a negative emotion in her. Granted, it was still an emotion, so that was a sign. Naruto whipped his head back at her and asked seriously, are you sure that is your father? My sister saw him blow up. I know him anywhere, even if his age has changed, his demeanor has stayed the same. Karasu replied. So what should we do? Naruto asked. Follow. She replied before going after the man and his associates from the shadows. XXX. Keiru was bored. Kuretsuchi was resting in the park after their training session and Hinata was with her team. Not that Hinata could keep up either, since they both said that Keiru was a stamina monster. So Keiru was very bored. She wasn't hungry and she still had energy, she just had no idea what to do. Thankfully, that little problem was soon to be over when she saw brother and his new roommate pass by. However, they looked to be up to something. Well, mostly Karasu, since Naruto was just along for the ride. She noticed that we're following someone, well, about 3 people to be exact. Looking to the 3, she saw 2 masked men and a younger version of Danzo. Oh, this was not good and not possible. How was that nut job still alive? Deciding to stay in the shadows, she tagged along and saw that they were heading to the hospital, but why? Soon, she saw her other brother leaning against the building. Ignoring his sad look, she grabbed him before hiding again. The hell? Keiru, what are you doing? Menma asked. Following those 3, Keiru replied seriously while pointing to the roots. What the fuck? I thought that old shit was dead. How the hell? I don't know, you idiot. Keiru raged. But Karasu seems determined to find out as well. Who? Menma asked. Danzo's second daughter that Naruto saved from him. Keiru replied. Oh, so what now? Menma asked rather lamely. Keep to the shadows. Keiru ordered as they disappeared. XXX. Kushina heard the door to her room open. She was still recovering and Tsunade felt that it was a good idea to stay in the hospital, but damn if it was boring. Naruto got to get out early somehow, and then she finds out that Danzo of all people tried to take over Konoha, but blew himself up. So she was happy for the interruption from being bored out of her mind. Hello, she asked when she saw a few unfamiliar faces. Who are you people? Danzo smirked. Of course Kushina wouldn't recognize him. He was barely ever around her, and the fact that he was much younger looking was a factor. You are no longer needed in the land of the living, he said, making her tense up. Oh, and who the hell are you to try and kill me? Kushina raged. The shinobi of darkness reborn. Danzo stated. Yes, killing her will weaken the Hokage more. This is the first thing I should have done, attack his heart. That fool actually uses his emotions. He thought before gesturing to his 2 root agents. Kill her, he ordered. In the shadows, Karasu showed more emotion. Anger. How dare her so father do this? This was the mother of her new friend. Friend, that was weird word and feeling, but Naruto was that to her, and she may not understand their unique situation. She knew what family was. She had been forced to kill her mother after all. No more of that. She wouldn't let her friend lose family as well. Thinking quickly like she was trained to do, she noticed that he was wearing his sand-colored backpack. Naruto had introduced her to Shukaku and Isobu. She had read that Shukaku had the magnet release, and that was just what she needed. Quickly touching Shukaku's backpack form, she let her bloodline do the work for her. Then she held up her other hand, pointing it right at Danzo's ground, and let the power fly as it unleashed itself for the first time. The next thing that happened was confusing for everyone. They all saw Danzo and his men being flung out the window by an unseen force. That was when the four-tailing Danzo made themselves known. Okay, the hell was that? Menma asked. Me. Karasu replied neutrally, took the power of Shukaku and used magnet release to propel him away. Really? That's why you touched me? Shukaku asked aloud. Awesome. Indeed, it was useful. Isobu replied. His seal-like form replied as it looked at Karasu. The seal markings making it look like an eye. Thank you. Karasu replied. That's nice and all, but it seems Danzo is recovering and he looks pissed. Keiru interrupted as she looked out of the broken window. Then let's have some fun. Naruto replied, a little angered that the man would go after his family the way he did. He was still trying to figure out what to do with his mom after all. He couldn't let her die, yet. Leaping out the window and standing of the wall, he stared at the younger version of Danzo with a challenging smirk. However, he did notice that this Danzo did look a little different. While looking younger, he also had black where the whites of his eyes should be. He also wore a black cloak that covered most of this body. Danzo saw Naruto and glared. Fine, I'll kill you first. You won't be missed, he said before running after the blonde, and they took to the hospital's roof. Shortly after that, Torun, Fu, Karasu, Keiru, and Menma joined them. Fu, Torun, take care of his siblings, I will to kill Naruto and my daughter myself. Danzo ordered, and the two rushed their opponents, forcing them off the roof. Danzo then closed his eyes as a smile crossed his lips. When he opened them again, his normal black eyes were replaced with two Sharingan eyes. But something was different, and Naruto didn't like it. Not only were they in the shape of a four-pronged shuriken reminiscent of Itachi's old friend Shisui, the design was doubled, giving it a shadowed appearance. That meant he somehow gained the Sharingan's eternal form. How the hell do you get the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Naruto roared. Careful cloning of the original eye and then some experimentation. Danzo replied with a smirk. But that is not all, boy. I procured those seals you use on your hands and expanded with modifications of my own. He then threw off his cloak, revealing he was not wearing a shit underneath, just some black pants. However, that is not what they noticed. On his chest on the right side was a face. Not only that, but there was also many other Sharingan eyes. All down his arm and in the face's eyes as well. It was disturbing to say the least. Oh, don't look so shocked, boy. How do you think you got those eyes on your hands? I gave them to you. I collected all these eyes once the Uchiha massacre was over. Their loved ones did not want to see the dead, so I took the liberty of taking their eyes. Why waste good resources? However, I did not know how to use them safely, so once I heard you needed a pair your own, I sent them to you and observed how you managed to use them. I was impressed, but I did try my own way by implanting Hashirama's cells into me. What you see is the result. Naruto glared at the man. He should have known there was a catch to his own pair, and he never did question why Danzo had given them to him. Now he knew why, and it made him sick. He would need to tell Itachi later on and see what he thought. If the clan head of the Uchiha clan told him to get rid of them, he would. Right now, he would use them for all they were worth. But like I said, boy, I used you seal as well. Danzo exclaimed as a series of seals appeared on his left side, making more Sharingans appear, but these were different. They were like the M's in his own eyes. Just what the hell did this man do in his spare time? Now that you know this, you may be wondering how I can pull this off. Well, I am dead with the Edo Tensei, I have unlimited chakra. Now you must die. Danzo stated when he brought his left arm up and the Sharingans glowed. Fujin. Danzo roared, calling out the power of his Sharingan. The power he is connected with. Wind. The power took the form of a violent wind storm above the hospital before it stabilized into an Oni with a bag slung over its back. It glared at Naruto and Karasu as it took hold of its bag and roared as it ripped it open. The next thing anybody knew was that everything on the roof that was not the floor was torn to shreds by a massive amount of wind blades. However, the only reason all three combatants survived was because Danzo sacrificed one of his Sharingan eyes to use Izanagi to turn into an illusion for a short time to survive. Naruto and Karasu on the other hand use his ghost step to survive. Naruto, if he was in contact with someone else, could turn them both intangible. Danzo glared at the boy for surviving, but shrugged it off because he had something else to deal with in the form of Tsunade and Mei jumping at him. Of course he dodged Tsunade's punch, which led to a corner of the hospital's roof being blown appeared, but that punch made him dodge right in the direction of one of Mei's lava-based jutsus, melting half of his body. Mei smirked before that look turned into horror as that half of his body reformed like nothing had ever happened. "What horror is this?" she asked aloud. "A forbidden technique made by my great-uncle Tobamara, our second Hokage. I never thought Danzo would stoop this low." Tsunade growled as she stood up. "If I am to achieve my goal, then I need all the power I can get." Danzo replied. "XXX. This is not good," Naruto stated. "Karasu, do you know more about the magnet release?" The girl nodded. "I have read a lot about this bloodline since it interested me the most, but I am still learning how to use it. Right now I can only use repelling forces and levitate." "Great. That mean I have to get on Danzo's level just to fight him." Naruto groaned before performing the summoning jutsu, bringing his friends Goku and Vegeta into existence. "Hey Naruto, what can we do for you?" Goku asked cheerfully while Vegeta just grunted with his arms crossed. "I need to get into Sage mode while Tsunade and Mei have Danzo distracted." Naruto replied as he took his shirt off, reveal his muscles and the bracers he had in the Chunin exam. Karasu didn't know why, but she felt herself blush a bit at the sight. "We can do that," Goku said as he and Vegeta hopped on Naruto's shoulders to begin gathering nature chakra. "Susanoo!" Danzo screamed out, catching Naruto's attention as a huge sickly green specter appeared with no arms, just a torso and a head. The blonde saw Tsunade and Mei were having a horrible time with it as it just stood there, protecting a smirking Danzo, but the man did look a little tired for some reason. Maybe his boost about unlimited chakra was false. Still, Tsunade and Mei combined managed to put a crack in it, but that was it and the two were tiring. "Okay, we are done," Goku shouted, bringing Naruto's attention back to his situation. "Good, now I just need to pierce the thing and maybe I'll be able to get rid of him for good," Naruto declared. "May I make a suggestion?" Isobu asked from his pot on Naruto's furry back as Sage Mode had activated, and despite taking off his shirt, Shukaku stayed on him. "Like what?" Naruto asked, curious on what the demon wanted. "Son Goku, my four-tailed brother, once was in contact with a monkey summoner himself. And so he joined out of curiosity, and when the chips were on the table, he gave the boy some of his power despite being in his own Sage Mode. I wish to do the same to help you, but I am unsure how long the power-up will last. I suppose I couldn't hurt much," Naruto replied. He was of course not a Jinchuriki or a pseudo-Jinchuriki anymore, so he thought the energy would hurt like it was rumored to do, but right now he didn't have many options. "Just hurry up before I change my mind." "Very well," the three-tailed turtle said as buried itself further into the Shukaku's backpack form until it touched Naruto's spine. It then sent a tail's worth of power directly into his nature chakra reserves, forcing the combining of two energies that made the sage fur on his chest and arms, along with the monkey tail, to turn a bright gold as Naruto's eyes shifted from blue to emerald green. This was the Super Sage form. "Arg, it is too much," Naruto growled out in a bit of pain, but despite that, he would hold it for now. He nodded to his monkey summons and they dispersed. He could complain later. He held out his right hand and the bracer morphed into its spinning form as a violent wind chakra went into in, once again creating his wind drill technique. However, it was powerful before in normal Sage Mode and now it was beyond that. However, he still felt it was not enough since he felt he was not to Tsunade's level yet, so he activated the seal on his hand, bring his own Sharingan to life once more and had it produce an Amaterasu on the wind drill, making far more dangerous, both to his opponent and himself because he could feel the intense heat it was producing. Shukaku, Karasu, make opposing magnetic forces to repel me right at Danzo's shitty Susanoo. I am not sure how long this will last, or how much longer I can take this heat. He shouted over the roar of his drill. Right. They said and did just that as Naruto was repelled rather quickly right at Danzo's Susanoo, right at the crack Tsunade and Mei managed to make. Move. Naruto roared to the two women, making their eyes widen before jumping out of the way. Sage Art. Black Flame Vortex Cyclone Shredder. He shouted out, the drill hitting right where the crack was, and after a very loud screech, Naruto broke through and decimated Danzo's from. The wind drill stabbed him right where his black heart would be as the wind blades shredded him to bits, and then the black fire of Amaterasu burnt away the remains. Naruto panted on the ground as that had taken out a sizable chunk on his chakra and the rest of his Super Sage mode as it was now gone from his body. That was ridiculous, he muttered out as he held his own burnt arm. You did good, kid, Tsunade said as she landed next to him to begin healing his arm. But that was reckless. What were you thinking? Not much, Naruto admitted. I just wanted to end it quickly and I did. But look at your arm. Naruto's mother figure roared. You are lucky I am here or else you wouldn't have it anymore. Thank Mom. Naruto groaned out jokingly, making Tsunade chuckle a bit as well. Damn, you look like shit, Menma stated as he appeared next to the blonde along with Keiru, Kakashi, Guy. They had taken out Torun and Fu already. Mei walked up as well with a smile. Gee thanks. Naruto deadpanned. I don't think this is over, Karasu stated as he rushed to his side. What makes you say that? Keiru freaked. That. Karasu replied blandly as she pointed to the slowly reforming Danzo, who was glaring at him. Ah, come on, just stay down, Naruto replied exhaustively. Danzo glared at the boy in rage. He had boosted that he had unlimited chakra, but that was only close to it. His multitude of root agents were powering him, but he had learned that being obliterated like and reforming like that was highly chakra consuming, and the use of his Izanagi was less. That meant that a few of his men were now dead. Oh, this boy would pay. This was supposed to have been easy. I am surprised that the jutsu did that much damage, but now I will kill you, boy, Danzo stated. Like hell you will, Tsunade raged as she stopped healing Naruto, feeling that his arm was good enough for now, and rushing the young form of Danzo. Foolish woman, Fujin is still active. Wah, was all she got out as a fist made of wind knocked her to the edge of the roof. In fact, you all forgot that, didn't you? Danzo smirked before another Sharingan on his body began to glow. I think I shall end this now. Raijin. Another Oni-like being came into existence, but this time it was made of lightning. Hey, these two are made to work together, now perish. With that, he laughed as Raijin and Fujin blasted towards the group. Kakashi acted first as he activated his signature jutsu. Raikari. He shouted as he cut through Raijin's initial attack before Fujin came from behind and blasted him off the roof. Fujin then rushed after Mei, who sent out a barrage of lava globs, but it blasted through them like they weren't even there. However, it did use the flames to its advantage, add more OMF to its attack. It then blasted Mei to the other end of the roof, burning parts of her clothes and body along the way. Guy and Karasu tried to repel the Sharingan gods with taijutsu and low-level magnet release, but they were quickly taken out. Danzo smirked as he snapped his fingers and the two Sharingan gods were deactivated, for he wanted to finish the children of the Hokage off himself. That, and to conserve chakras, he knew that a few more of his men were dead. Menma, ever the hot head, yelled, "Let's take this fucker out now." For once, Keiru and Naruto didn't argue as they were too tired to do so. Keiru was lucky Kakashi came to aid when he did, same for Menma, as they were unable to use their demon chakra against those two because of strange seals. The three siblings got up and rushed the man with their respective tools. Naruto is a psionic blade at the ready, Menma had his blood armor and a sword made out of blood, and Keiru has her twin katana. Foolish, Danzo muttered as he inhaled, wind style, vacuum blast. The three were blasted back with a multitude of wind blades that sliced deeply into them, including Menma, whose blood armor shattered. Keiru landed on her side and Menma landed on top of Naruto. Ugh, that could have gone better. Menma muttered. True, but can you please get off of me? Naruto shouted rudely. Don't bother, you both will soon be dead. Danzo said as he was close to them with a blade of wind around his hand. He smirked before rushing at them, ready to run them both through. They both closed their eyes, waiting for the strike, but it never came. Instead, there was a shadow over them. Looking, they saw it was their father, Minato Namikaze. He had been stabbed through the chest and he was smiling at them. Sorry I am late, he coughed out. I think I am getting Kakashi's illness. What are you doing here? Menma stuttered out, shocked that their father did that. Even Naruto was at a loss for words. Hey, I may be a failure as a father, but even I can protect my children when it counts. He said before he was pushed to the side by Danzo. Yes, well, I was not expecting you to come, but with all the racket, I shouldn't be. Still, this works out well. Danzo replied smugly. He then reactivated his Susanoo, gaining a smile at the hopeless looks on the Namikaze family and Naruto. He looked up to see that this time, his Susanoo had arms. Good, I can end all of you at once. I can always rebuild this section of Konoha later. They didn't know what he meant by that and they didn't like it, especially after he and his Susanoo performed 3 specific hand signs that made the clouds over them dark, but not from rain. There was also the glared difference in Danzo's form. Every single Sharingan on his body burst like water balloons, but the ones in his eyes had shifted into a weak Rinnegan that were flicking like a dim light. Like they could not decide to stay in that form or not. Tengai Shinsei. Danzo roared as he felt a significant drop in his chakra as the majority of his men died from having their chakra used up. They looked up and saw that a huge spherical rock was plummeting towards them. Oh hell. Keiru groaned in panic. How are we supposed to counter that? The hell if I know. I am low on chakra and I can go back into Sage mode with Goku and Vegeta back in their realm. I don't have the time to summon them. Naruto growled. Menma looked from Danzo to his sister, so his estranged brother, and then back to Danzo. He sighed as he came up with a plan. Force those Sharingans in your hands to morph into whatever it is that Danzo has. In case you haven't heard, I don't have the chakra for that. Naruto roared. The Kyuubi's chakra then, from both of us. Menma stated with a neutral face, catching both of their attention. That is your best bet. Shukaku replied. Have ours too. I am not a pseudo Jinchuriki anymore. Naruto bit back to Menma. Using the 3 tails chakra with nature chakra was dangerous enough, but to actually do this, it was suicide. We are all going to die either way. Menma roared back. I will help as well. Karasu stated as dragged herself over and put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Fine. Naruto growled out, not liking this idea. His siblings nodded as they put a hand on each of his arms before channeling Kyuubi's chakra into them. Karasu, Isobu, and Shukaku doing the same, making Naruto scream as it was too much chakra. He shakily held up his hand and activated the seal on them to reveal the unharmed Sharingans, which were being overloaded, and Naruto feared that they would burst as Danzo's had. XXX. Minato looked up at his kids and smiled, seeing them finally working together. He looked further up to see the falling rock and grimaced, wondering how they could stop that. His eyes wandered to Danzo and growled. There was only one way to end this, and that meant he would no longer be around. So be it, he thought bitterly. He was the Hokage after all. The whole village was his family, but just those kids and his wife. He needed to take action, but that wind blade cut into his spine and it was difficult to move. So what could he do? He looked around for a solution and signed when he noticed his Hiraishin kunai. Without much thought it flicked into Danzo's stomach, who just looked annoyed at the action. Minato was surprised that it got to him though. It would seem that the jutsu to destroy this part of Konoha had dispelled his second attempt at a Susanoo. Minato smiled as he activated the Hiraishin and teleported over to a shocked Danzo and held on to him. This is where it ends. Oh please, you can barely move. Danzo sneered out, not at all threatened by Minato. You are wrong, Minato said ominously as he flared his chakra. Sealing jutsu. Reaper Death Seal. No, that's impossible, Danzo shouted out in panic, having forgotten that Minato had the ability to use that jutsu. He shook in fear once he saw the form of the Shinigami appear behind Minato, leer at him before its hand went straight through Minato and then into Danzo. No, this is not how it was supposed to end. He cried out in panic. But it does, Minato said with a hard edge to his voice. Seal. No. Danzo fought until the very end, until he saw the Shinigami eat his soul and his dead body then crumbled to dust. Minato fell to the floor once more and looked to see that Naruto's hands had the Rinnegan in them. Naruto cried out in sheer pain before calling out a jutsu. Shinra Tensai. That single jutsu sent out a powerful shock wave that struck the falling meteor, keeping it at a standstill before Naruto screamed again as all that chakra came out and blasted at the falling rock. While being powerful in its own right, the most it managed to do was send the huge rock backwards into the surrounding forest, making everything shake violently. But Minato just smiled as his fading vision trained on his children. XXX. Keiru and Menma helped Naruto over to Minato's prone body, seeing as he could barely walk and was barely conscious. Yes, you will do nicely, a voice rang out in his mind, but it was neither Isobu nor Shukaku, so he just played it off as his own fatigue playing tricks on him. He looked over to his siblings and then to Karasu, who looked pretty beat up as well and sighed. This just showed he still need to work on getting stronger. His seals were useful, but he needed more chakra to do a lot of things and he couldn't rely on Sage Mode or its super form all the time. Reaching Minato, the group stared at him while he stared at them. You did well, he said with a smile. But I guess Danzo was right, I am not fit to be Hokage anymore. Oh come on Dad, you are not that bad. Keiru cried. Yes, I am, he said weakly, and after using that jutsu to seal away Danzo into the Shinigami's stomach, I can't be Hokage when I am going to be dead. Come on Dad, don't joke around like that. Menma replied weakly, and he hated it. When Minato just gave him a flat look, he forced everyone to their knees. Oh God, no. Don't worry too much, Tsunade and your mother will take care of you guys. After all, I named Tsunade as the next Hokage. And you are fool for doing so, but I will do it anyway. Tsunade replied as she walked up to them with a slight limp. Minato just smiled before turning back to the kids. Come strong, and please don't hate each other, he said, mostly looking from Naruto to Menma. Good luck, he said before closing his eyes for the last time. Menma and Keiru closed their own eyes as tears streamed down their faces. Naruto. He was barely conscious, but heard what his father said. He weakly fell forward out of his sibling's grasp and fell on the cracked roof's floor, fading out of consciousness and then finally blacking out. It was all just too much. Further away, in the ruined stairwell to the roof, Kushina looked on in horror at what she saw. She tried getting up there to help, but she was still too weak to do anything like that. When she saw what Minato did to Danzo, she just froze up, incapable to processing what was going on. Then she heard his words and it broke her out of it. With her red hair shadowing her eyes and tears finally breaking free, he sat down on one of the stair and sobbed. With Minato dead, it was going to be that much harder to reunite her family. But Minato was dead. His husband, the man she loved since that day she saved her, was dead. XXXXX. There, no more Danzo, he can't come back. Minato's dead and Tsunade has been appointed the new Hokage. XXX. Naruto just knew he was dreaming. One, because he remembered falling on his face after battling Danzo, if you could call it that, and two, because none of these things were possible. He knew that Orochimaru was dead, he thought that the Hokage killed him. He also knew that things don't randomly switch to another's perspective. It was weird and it was getting on his nerves. The former Uzumaki watched as a much younger looking Orochimaru walked down a hallway in Konoha, holding a red chest with golden designs emblazoned on it. He was smirking in that creepy way before he noticed someone walking down the other way and moved to leave before he was caught with it, as he knew he would be questioned as to what the box even was. XXX. Then the scene changed to that of a rather beautiful white-haired woman in strange clothing, not of the elemental nations, and it seemed that she had just gotten off a boat of sorts. It seemed that time had passed and that she was older when she was shown again standing under a rather large tree. When she picked the lone fruit on it, it shivered violently, but she paid it no mind as she ate the fruit. What came next was violent and confusing to Naruto. The woman shook as if she were in pain before screaming out as chakra burst from her body in the form of a raging fire. Her eyes went pure white like the Hyuga clan's eyes, and a third eye forced itself open on her forehead. It also looked that a younger version of her was forced out her, but she was just a mere ghost. She looked at the landscape and sneered. Foolish woman, but I guess her goal was mine in the end. I shall bring order to this chaos-ridden world, the woman said as the ghost seemed to scream at her, but she paid in no mind because with a flick of her wrist, the ghost was banished in the form of broken glass. Like she was never even there. XXX. The scene changed back to Orochimaru, but this time he was older and he was in what Naruto assumed a hideout. One of his many hideouts that Konoha were searching for to destroy them. There, Orochimaru stared at the box he once held, and in his hand was a key. Finally, I have the key. Finally, I will have the power to destroy Sarutobi's precious village and his successor. As Orochimaru slid the key in, he heard a click and the man's smile turned deranged before the box opened in a blast of light and power that threw the man back into a wall. XXX. When the light died down, Naruto noticed that the scene had changed again, and it was of the woman again, but this time, there were two men facing her off as a giant thing with 10 tails stood behind her. It also had that same Sharingan-like eye that was on her forehead. You dare stand against me? I created you. The woman screamed at the two men facing her that were shrouded in shadows. Yes, mother, we stand against you. The older of the two with visible ringed eyes said solemnly. We stand for balance while you just want order to rule world. This world has thrived the way it has so far. You can't take chaos out altogether. You are wrong, the woman said with a sneer as she attacked them, ripping up the landscape as if it were paper. XXX. Orochimaru stood back up and looked at the now open box to see a wispy figure of green smoke. Its vacant eyes stared at him. Orochimaru actually felt fear as he knew what this being was. It was a true deity of this world. He gulped audibly and bowed. I have freed you so that you may give me the power I desire to take my revenge. The smoky figure didn't seem to hear him for a moment before the eyes defined themselves into light green emerald-like eyes and a pure white smile, almost deranged, spread across its face. It then spoke, but Naruto couldn't hear it. But whatever was said made Orochimaru initiate an attack. The figure just sat there on the box as it blocked the attack like it was nothing. Orochimaru growled for a moment before his already pale face went even more pale at the sight before him. The figure had turned into him, but with those same green eyes. It seemed to frighten the snake sage for a moment before the man attacked again. XXX. The woman looked worse for wear as she knelt before the two men before her. Even the creature behind her looked tired, if only a little. I hate you, she muttered. You were supposed to be on my side, she screamed. The shadowed faces of the men before her looked visibly hurt at the remark, but continued with what they were doing anyway. They brought up their palms and she paled at the sun and crescent moon symbols on them. The woman then grew more enraged as the giant beast behind her roared before touching her, and then she was fine. Like it restored her energy, but the two men didn't seem surprised. They merely kept up what they were doing as two beams of energy shot from their symbol-covered hands before the woman and the giant beast were lifted in the air. You can't keep me locked up forever. I will get out, sooner or later, the woman said dangerously before closing her eyes. Later or never works for us, but we will make sure you never return. The older of the two men said as he ripped the chakra out of the giant beast that was protecting her as it curled itself around her. He then held the giant ball of dark energy like it was nothing as he then created another, smaller, ball of pure black energy that shot towards the woman and beast. It expanded to engulf them as it flew high in the air. The earth then shook as large land masses flew at them to create a giant sphere of rock that would later be known as the moon. Then the man looked at the large sphere of dark energy and spoke sadly. For such a thing to look so evil, it was supposed to be a creature of good, but too much a good thing can turn to evil. What do you plan to do? The younger male asked. Create balance through life, the man said as he split the energy into 9 being, making both yin and yang chakra into the mix. Order and chaos, light and dark, good and evil, yin and yang. One cannot exist without the other, therefore you 9 shall be the protectors of that balance. The first creature to form was a figure Naruto knew as the Shukaku and knew this was their creation, but he didn't get to see the rest as his point of view was shifted away from the birth of the tailed beasts to 3 small children a few miles away from the once great battle site. Behind them was a dark figure of pure black as it glared at both the children and the 2 men that defeated the woman and the beast. "You cannot keep me away forever," it said ominously as it sank into the group, but not before tapping the middle child on the shoulder as a spark of its energy flowed into him. Said middle child turned around and Naruto saw that he looked a little like Sasuke while the other 2 children looked like him and Hinata. "What is it?" the girl asked. "Not sure," the dark-haired child replied. With that, Naruto was brought back to the 2 men, but they were leaving with all 9 of the tailed beasts. Naruto wondered why he was still there even as the occupants were all gone. That was when he saw it. All the extra energy in the air that belonged solely to the Shinju and Kagaya converged onto one spot as it formed a slug of sorts. Naruto instantly knew what this thing was. Especially after the scene changed twice in succession to it meeting a younger Uchiha and then to a very old one. XXX. Naruto almost groaned in his dream when he saw the scene change back to Orochimaru and the entity he had been fighting, only this time, the snake sage was on the ground, badly bleeding and looking to be on the verge of death. The Orochimaru look-alike shook its head in disappointment. "You are not the one, Orochimaru. Your body and soul are too weak. Even though you are a sage, you haven't reached the true potential of a sage. A true sage as it were. No, you are not the one," it said as he sat back down on the open box. However, it looked over to Naruto and the blonde felt that he was actually being looked at. "Yes, you will do nicely." The same phrase from when he was about to pass out was muttered again and Naruto now knew that this was the entity that said it. "But are you ready to know the true nature of this world? Come find me when you are." It then took on Naruto's form but with those same green eyes as it smiled at him before dissolving into the mist and back into the box, where it locked itself but something bright shot towards him, waking him up. XXX. With a jolt, Naruto awoke and he immediately sat up in the bed he was in. However, he regretted it as his whole body ached, including his former charred arm. Laying back down and looking at it, he saw a key in his hand. The very same key that he saw in the dream. But how was that even possible? Taking a better look at it, he saw that something was off. Only one side was like the key he saw in his dream, the other was completely different. The side from the dream was pure gold like the designs of the box while the other was whitish silver. What did that mean? Did it have 2 uses? He didn't get to ponder on that as he finally noticed where he was. The hospital. The most boring place on the face of the planet. Okay, that seemed harsh since he came here a lot just to visit Tsunade and Shizune along with Jugo and Karen when they were here, but when you were a freaking patient in this god-awful place, it was just horrible. Thankfully he didn't have to deal with the boredom as Tsunade walked in and he quickly hid the key, not sure if she knew about it or not. She smiled at the boy and said, "You look a lot better." "Thanks to you I assume," Naruto replied. "You got that right," Tsunade stated before lightly flicking him on the head. "But your body went through a lot. You made toast out of your arm with that flaming drill attack of yours and you were lucky I was here or else you wouldn't have that arm anymore. Next was your body." With that, Tsunade pulled Naruto into a hug, confusing him greatly. "What happened? I know you don't like hear this, but it is a good thing that you have Uzumaki blood in you, or you have stayed dead," Tsunade said a bit choked up. "I died." "Yes you idiot," Tsunade growled out. "You are not like your siblings, you are not a Jinchuriki like them. You going Super Sage mode, or whatever Karasu called it, strained your chakra coils, but you were already used to that since you were once a pseudo Jinchuriki, but taking in all that other chakra was too much for your body to handle and you died at one point. Thankfully I managed to get your heart working again. It hurt like hell," Naruto replied sadly. "Like every cell in my body was on fire and about to burst, but I didn't think it would kill me." "What were you trying to do?" "Danzo had the Rinnegan and brought down a meteor somehow, so I need it too. Menma proposed the insane idea that they give me their chakra and my tail beast partners chipped in. I figured it was too much so I just shouted out the one attack that to mind and it managed to blast back the giant rock. Faye, I woke up after that," Tsunade grumbled. "So how long have I been out?" Naruto asked. "About a week. Like I said, you are lucky that you have Uzumaki blood or you wouldn't have recovered so fast." Tsunade stated. I guess being related to them is a good thing, Naruto replied with a sigh. He had been so angry at his parents that he basically made himself not a part of them anymore and he was regretting it, but what's done is done. He wasn't going to change it because he felt if he did go back, he'd just be in their shadow now. Wait, Minato was dead now. Damn. So who is Hokage now? Naruto asked. You were looking at her. Tsunade replied with a small smile. Minato named me the Hokage right before he died. Hey, congrats mom, Naruto replied with a smile. Thanks, Tsunade said as she gave him another hug. Outside the room, Kushina had been listening, and if she hadn't been a wreck before, she was now. She healed up physically in the week that Naruto had been knocked out cold from his order with Danzo, but emotionally she was a wreck. Rin had fucked with her family to the point it was broken and her oldest was no longer part of it. He even called Tsunade mom over her. Then there was Minato's death and Menma's surprising decision. The black-haired boy had gone into the psyche ward for a year to fix his mental issues. He had done this on his own under Tsunade's permission. But the point for Kushina was, she was losing ground. She honestly had no idea to get Naruto to truly accept her back into his life. Sure, he said he would try and tolerate her, but that wasn't enough for her. Even if Minato was dead, she wanted her family whole again. There just had to be a way. XXX. A few days later, Naruto had been called to the Hokage's office, which was now Tsunade's office as she was no longer the head of the hospital. That was Shizune's job now. Let her grow white hair because of that madness. Tsunade wasn't going to run both the hospital and the village. He found that he wasn't the only one called though, as apparently, Karu and Karasu had been called as well, and a rather old man was sitting in a chair in front of the desk. I am guessing we have a mission of sorts, Naruto commented. You would be correct, Tsunade replied. This mission requires you to go to a small village in our land of fire. Apparently, they have a girl there your age that is suffering from an illness. After describing it to me, I believe that I know what it is, but I cannot go. So you will escort Shizune there, and yes, Naruto, you will be leading this mission. Will we be taking our client with us? Naruto asked, figuring the old man was the client. No, I am afraid not. The old man finally spoke. I am dying and have accepted that. When you leave, I will walk out into the woods and meet my end on my own terms. Besides, I couldn't face that girl again. I failed her and her parents. What do you mean? Karu asked. The second part of your mission is to bring her back here where she will be safe from those villagers. I know you are a Jinchuriki young lady and so is the girl. I am sure you will get along, the old man stated, making Naruto and his sister raise their eyebrows. She does not possess one of the 9 though. Oh, that didn't sound good for Naruto, as he, thanks to the recent dream, knew of only one other tailed beast. A beast of pure negative energy called the zero-tailed slug, better known as the Ribi. Oh god damn it. No way, Karu shouted out. It really is separate from Rin then. I am not sure who Rin is, but the origins to Ribi are mixed since no one truly knows how it originated. The old man replied. People believe it manifested when the land of the sky was brought down in the Second Shinobi World War, but then was trapped within it. While it was trapped within it, I do not believe it manifested there, just a gut feeling. Then how is it in her then? Tsunade asked. The old man sighed. The girl, Amaru, had been kidnapped by Sky Ninja when she was young. It seemed that they were indeed still alive and they used her to seal the Ribi within her, hoping for a weapon of their own like the 5 great villages have, but her parents came to save her. However, they were mortally wounded in the process. Since I was good friends with them, I took her to my village, but they weren't very happy to have her there due to her condition. Excluding me, she has been alone for a long time. That's horrible, Karu replied. Indeed, now will you do this last request from a dying old man? I have already paid. Of course, Naruto replied. Good, you are to leave immediately. Tsunade ordered. Go get Shizune so that Mei, Jugo, and Karen can handle things at the hospital. Right, Naruto said as he, Karu, and Karasu left the room. XXX. Speaking of Mei, she was in a pickle herself. No, not a combat pickle per se. Unless of course you are talking about her bout with time and desperately trying to get a man to marry so that one day she could be happy and pass on her legacy. That was indeed Mei's problem now. She was happy that Tsunade was helping her, but she thought that in Konoha she would have a chance with the men there since Kiri was a no-go. The great hidden village of the mist was no more. Yagura made sure that before he left. So no strong male prospects for her there. But in Konoha, she thought she'd have a chance. But no, that was not the case. Her fellow student in Jugo seemed to like her, but she found out that he was with Isaribi. Kakashi was too emotionally broke to be with anyone, that Genmagai had the hots for Shizune and vice versa. The school teacher Iruka was actually pursuing a relationship with a woman named Anko, a lot of other men were taken. That just sucked for Mei. She then turned her attention to younger men, specifically ninja, and if they were ninja, it was legal, but still considered weird in some circles. She figured if she was younger that wouldn't be a problem, but her problem was how to be younger. She then came across a rather old book in the medical library, written by a woman named Mito, and found a way to be younger, but it was high forbidden. Okay, why did people keep records of forbidden things if they were indeed forbidden? Couldn't they just destroy it so no trouble came from it? Oh well, not the point, because Mei was debating to use this medical sealing art or not. That was because it required an Uzumaki to perform. To perform and be essential to the jutsu because of their bloodline's special trait of longevity. The jutsu transferred some of that longevity to another and aged them a few years, but as an added side effect of biting the Uzumaki in the butt. The side effect was their own longevity being screwed with by either forcibly aging them or de-aging them. It was dangerous, and that was why it was forbidden. This was the reason she was in a pickle as she paced in front of Kushina Uzumaki house. Finally, she just knocked on the door. If she was going to do it, she needed Kushina to be in on it as well. When the door opened, Kushina answered and Mei explained to her why she was there. This act shocked the Uzumaki woman, but it also brought to light a potential answer to her own problem. If Kushina could make it so that she was younger as a side effect, then she could get closer to Naruto as a sister. It was perfect. Let's do it, Kushina said, making Mei smile gently. They both wanted the same thing and ironically, the same person. XXXXX. XXXXXX. Naruto leaned against a shack as he stared out onto the small village he and his current team was at. It was a small village that was rather boring in the blonde's opinion. As was the trip to this place was slow, that was because they actually had to traverse a freaking swamp, but it was a rather slow and boring. Naruto hated that. As soon as they entered the small village, they asked a random villager where they could find Amaru. The man just sneered and said, "If you are looking for that disease-ridden demon bitch, then she is at the far side of the village. You can't miss it. The shack she lives in is old and crappy." And yeah, they found it because they also found a couple of kids throwing rocks at the place, but they feared that if they got too close, they would get sick as well. However, Kaoru grew angered when one of the kids, a boy with pure black hair, took a stick and set it on fire from a nearby fire pit before chucking it at the worn shack. In a fit of anger, usually unseen in the girl, Kaoru caught the flaming piece of wood before threatening the boy by almost poking it at him, saying how he would like to be burned. Thankfully, Naruto stopped her before anything bad happened, but she was remained by the words once spoken by her brother about how Jinchuriki were treated in rest of the world. After that, they greeted the sickly girl, telling her that the old man had sent them and they were just there to help her. She was of course skeptical at first, and who wouldn't, but in the end, a coughing fit forced Shizune to forego hesitance and help the girl. So here was Naruto, bored out of his mind as he leaned against her shack with his teammates there with him. They were to make sure nothing interrupted Shizune, but damn, it was boring. However, that was soon to be challenged as a teen, who looked like an older version of the kid Kaoru had threatened, came up to them with a frown. He stared at them for a moment and then asked, "All right, which one of you threatened my little brother?" Kaoru growled, but it was Naruto who answered, "Why do you ask questions to which you already know the answer to?" "Because I am defending my family, you blonde douche," the boy yelled, making Naruto's eye twitch. "My little brother was going to be a hero for burning that scumbag bitch, but that red hair bitch stopped it from happening and then threatened my little brother. I will not stand for it." "And what are you going to do about it?" Naruto asked nonchalantly, making Kaoru and Karasu look at him oddly. "I'll burn her and then burn the bitch in the shack," the teen shouted. "Do realize we are ninja, right, and we wouldn't just sit still for you to do so, right?" Naruto replied, making the boy pause. Yes, we are ninja if your poor observation skills haven't noticed that yet. Arg, the teen growled. Why bother defeat that demon then? She is not fucking human. Because I am the same way, you dumbass. Kaoru shouted, the prejudice getting to her and just angering her to no end. I hold a portion of the strongest tailed beast in existence, the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Oh fuck, another one. The boy freaked out but seemed to grow a backbone. Then why aren't you submissive, you bitch? You are not human like us, so you have to be under our feet. Why? Because my village treats me the same way as any other human being. But you are not. You have a demon in you. That means it has taken over, and the person you would have become is no more, just the soul of a demon in a human guise. You kill and cheat like any other demon. The sin of existence. Kaoru's face was red with anger as the boy's psychotic speech went on, but before she could scream at him for his stupidity, Naruto spoke up. Seriously? He asked. Is that you were taught to think? That is just sad. What? The teen barked at him. The blonde stared into the boy's eyes as he spoke. So you were taught to hate just because you were ignorant of the truth? Pathetic. I can see it in your eyes, the hate and the ignorance. In a way, I am no better but for different reasons, but at least I am trying to overcome it. I see a pathetic human who is no better than an animal. How dare you? The teen screamed as he charged at Naruto with a punch, but the blonde just evaded before grabbing the throat of the teen and slamming him on the ground, and then he put a foot on the teen's neck, making him stay silent. Now, in addition to the hate and the ignorance in his eyes, Naruto saw fear. I wasn't done, Naruto calmly stated, but on the inside, he was raging, that same rage he used to feel at his family. Odd. You are human, so that means you fear what you do not understand. Seals are used to seal up demons into humans, but you don't understand that, you see nothing but the demon. If you put a ring in a box, does the box become the ring? No. Seal is no different, so get over your petty hate, but I can see you won't because you now fear me, a shinobi with powers that could easily kill you. Now to hate me too, I can see it. You idiot. Get over it because ninja are all over the place, we could kill you with a flick of a finger. Yes, we kill, just like anything else. Naruto. I think he has had enough. Kaoru hesitantly stated, still feeling some hate herself for the boy. Fine. Naruto stated as he took his foot off the boy's neck and led him up. A few last words though, we are taking her with us to live in peace, but there is something you should know. What is that? The boy asked in a raspy voice. If you think that the girl in shack is a demon in soul and body, then that make you all demons at heart. The boy paused to stare at Naruto for a moment before turning and leaving. Leaving the shinobi is silence once more. Fascinating. Karasu stated as she took out a notebook and was writing in it. What are you doing? Kaoru asked. Taking notes on human behavior and what not to do. The emotionless girl replied. Why? Naruto asked. How else will I learn and remember how to fully utilize human emotion and be like everyone else around me? Karasu asked blankly with her head cutely to the side. Kaoru's eye twitched at that while Naruto just shrugged, not knowing how to respond to that. XXX. In the shack, Amaru's back was facing Shizune as the woman was healing the girl's disease. Both were dead silent as Shizune worked, but not because of the tension between the two. No, it was the teen and Naruto throwing words at each other. When Amaru heard the teen saying that she was a demon and had to be submissive to humans, she started sobbing that she would never be accepted, and Shizune's heart went out for the girl. Thankfully, Naruto's words calmed her down and it made her eyes widen. He was taking her away from these demon-hearted people to live with these ninja. Is that really how he feels? Amaru asked quietly. Naruto has been through a lot with his parents basically ignoring his existence for his Jinchuriki siblings until it was too late and some things happened, but he is trying to get over it to have a better relationship with his mother and sister, but yes, that's how he feels. He even warned his siblings how it was for Jinchuriki out in the world compared to Konoha, and Kaoru is finally seeing that. So, I would be welcome there and not seen as what I carry? Amaru asked. I am sure you will. People will not care, but I will warn you that there are people everywhere that will just want to use you for your demon. Thankfully, the man in Konoha that would want that is dead. I see. Amaru replied before looking at Shizune over her shoulder. Why are you helping me then? Because I see neither human nor demon, I just see a girl, a person in need of my help. I may not be the best fighter out there, but I have skills in helping people, and that is just fine with me. Shizune said with a smile. Amaru stared at the woman for a long time as she healed her back and various other places, and all she saw on Shizune's face was a smile. Like what she said was true, all she wanted to do was help people in need. I will gladly go, Amaru replied, making Shizune smile even more. Also, could you teach me the medical arts as well? If healing people makes you happy no matter who they are, I wish to feel that same happiness as well. I would be glad to, but I am the head of a hospital, so I hope you will be able to keep up. Shizune replied with a bit of challenge her voice. I can handle it, Amaru replied with a bit of determination in it. Then she gained a blush. Will I see the blonde-haired one? Naruto, more. Shizune gave off a knowing smile and said, I am sure you will. I am like a big sister to him, and he is well versed in the medical art as well, mostly for seal techniques, but yes, you will see him more often. Why? Amaru's blush deepened. He had defended her and taught not only the teen about human nature, but her as well. He was nice, handsome, and was intelligent too, so she had gained a crush on the boy. No reason. Shizune shook her head with a chuckle. Of course there would be another girl after her little brother's heart. First, it was Kaoru, oddly enough, then Kuretsuchi, then Hinata, then Karasu, and now Amaru was in on it. That boy was going to be very happy later in life, or very screwed, and not in a good way. You better make it count if you really want him, since there are a few other girls that do too. Amaru snapped her head back to Shizune to see her serious face and could only nod. She was ready. While it may just be a simple crush now, she was sure that if she got to know the blonde more, she would start to like him more and more. She was not going to lose, that was for sure. XXX. Are you sure the seals are all correct? May asked as she stared at all the archaic-looking symbols covering a good portion of Konoha's Central Park that they were commandeering. Now, most would think they would do this sort of thing in Mei's apartment or Kushina's house. Normally that would be the case, but Mei's place of living was a little too small and there were too many seals in Kushina to risk them overlapping. Sure, she could just deactivate them, but that was just a hassle to do. So they were doing it in a public place, but in a not used that much area where they would not be interrupted. Most civilians knew not to bother with the goings-on of ninja, so they were left alone. I am an Uzumaki, of course I am sure. Kushina chirped happily. I know you are, but even the best make mistakes, and I don't want anything bad happening to the both of us. I have heard some pretty scary stories about seals going wrong. Mei replied nervously. After all, seals were no joke. Kushina smiled and nodded to that assessment. She took another look at the book Mito had written and compared the diagram on the page to the now much larger version on the ground. They looked exactly the same in the sense it looked more like a ritual than anything else, and that because it kind of was. Nodding to herself, Kushina pointed to the circle on Mei's end and said, you will step into that one and I will step into the one near me. We will just need give off a quick burst of our chakra at the same time like we practiced, and then the seal would do its work, even taking chakra from the earth as it goes along. Mei looked skeptical, still wary, but also she really wanted to be young again, so that was a must for her. She had to do it if she ever wanted to get married. Well, that was her thought process, since she felt that she was too old to get married. Apparently being smoking hot at 30 was not good enough for her. Alright then, let's do it, Mei said as she stepped into her circle while Kushina did as well to her own, intently reading the book still. 3, 2, 1, and they burst their chakra into the seal, making it glow a bright and healthy blue. Seal art, youth flow. They said at the same time as well, and the seal seemed to grow brighter for it, but that is where all the good ended, because after that, the seal grew red instead, and that was defiantly not a good thing. Kushina frantically read more of the book as she felt pain spike in her body and heard Mei cry out in pain, but they were growing younger. That much she could physically tell, but the pain, the book mentioned only one thing about that pain. It was a side effect of something going wrong. That's when she saw it. The ground around them looked dead as the nature chakra was quickly being used up for the seal and it was starting to fracture. Stupid. They were supposed to be on stable ground, but she forgot that parts of the park weren't very stable because ninja parents would often show off for their kids. So not good. She had to do something because Mei was obvious in no condition to do so as she was clutching her chest in so much pain. Sure, Kushina was too, but she had triplets. This was nothing compared to that. Looking down at the seal, he knew what she had to do. She had to overload it and break it the hard way. Falling to her knees, she slammed a chakra-infused fist right into the seal, pumping the energy into it to set up the internal fight. After a while the seal was visibly flickering, but the ground around them looked so broken and she could see civilians looking at them in worry beyond the tears in her eyes. Finally, it broke, but not without consequence. It backfired, sending out a small explosion that sent the rocketing away from each other. Thankfully, their little display had caught the attention of ninja, most notably Tsunade, who managed to catch Mei and looked visibly shocked that Mei looked 15. Unfortunately, the Anbu trying to catch Kushina missed and she hit a tree. A line of blood trailed down her face, signifying that she cracked open her head, but that is not what had them all worried. What had them all worried was that she looked like a 4-year-old girl now. Mei, just what the hell did you two do? Tsunade ordered. Mei looked weakly at Kushina and winced. A youth seal that Mito Uzumaki created. What? Tsunade yelled out in worry. She knew that one too well, since in her own youth, she had seen it in use and it failed more often than not. Oh, this was not good. XXX. It had taken a few days to get back to Konoha after healing Amaru. Since she wanted to be a doctor of sorts and she was still a civilian, they had to go slow. Shizune even offered to show her how to unlock her chakra, but was shocked to find out that it already was due to her having the Ribi within her. So during their downtime at night, the group would help her learn to control it a little bit, with Shizune being the main one to do so. Because of this, Amaru was seen getting closer to Shizune, and the woman couldn't have been more happy since she now had a student of her own. However, the fun of games ended rather quick when they entered Konoha to find that the atmosphere is a little off. It was proven further when an Anbu told them to go to the hospital, since that was where Tsunade was meeting them. When they entered one of the hospital rooms, they saw that Tsunade was hovering over 2 young red-haired girls. One of them looked a lot like Mei, only younger, and the other was a 4-year-old girl with a tomato-shaped face. Tsunade gave the group a grim look. I see that you brought the girl like the old man wanted. I am glad for that, but we have another problem to deal with. Lady Tsunade, what happened? Who are they? Shizune asked. They are Kushina and Mei. They used a forbidding seal that my great-grandmother invented, but it usually failed. This time it only partially failed due to Kushina's intervention. There's more, isn't there? Naruto asked with a frown. Yes, unfortunately, Tsunade replied while waving her hand to the chibi version of Kushina, who was looking at them in confusion. Kushina hit her head after she was repelled from the seal, effectively wiping out her memory to match her age. I do not know if her age and loss of memories are permanent. Oh no, Naruto groaned. This was not what he wanted to deal with right now. Sure, he was trying to mend his relationship with his mother, but this put a big old wrench in that plan. So what now? I know you won't like hearing this, Naruto. Tsunade began. But since you and Kaoru are the only available members of your family, you will have to take care of her. She might also think you are her real parents. However, the choice is yours if you want to take to do this given your history. Naruto stared hauntingly at the 4-year-old version of his mother. He knew Kaoru would take care of their mother, no questions asked. But Naruto was a different case altogether. Could he do it? Would he do it? Given their past, he could just ignore her like she did to him. But the question was, could he leave her to her own devices and completely shut her out of his life like she once did to him? Could he pretend like she didn't exist and subject her to the loneliness that he had to go through until Tsunade and Shizune started looking out of her? Could he hate her like Rin made Kushina hate him? Boom. Before he could even answer, he rushed to the window to see a large fortress in the air, dropping bombs on the village. XXXXXX. Such a dark cliffhanger. I know, but it needed to be done. I hope you all liked the video.